work, because the purpose, the way that I lay this out, because it's not my first time doing this, we get a bunch of information about searching for colleges week 1. I give you a bunch of information about writing essays week 2. You then use week 3 to go do tons of work so that on week 4, when we come back, which will be on the 21st, you guys have tons of colleges searched, some great ideas for essays, and we can start working through doing all that. All right, before I start rolling on essay stuff, is there any questions that anyone has on college search? Hey, Mike, I got confused. Like Josh sent me a text or an email earlier this week and said, hey, out of all of the different spreadsheets that you shared with me, which one do you like best? And I said, it's got to be personal preference. You know, some people like this way, some people like that way. And I said that I like data, so I like to see it all. And I showed him, example 2 was my favorite one. Other people hate example 2, hate example 3 even more. Some people love example 3 because there's no frills. Some people love the prettiness of example 1, and that's what makes them happy. I don't care. Write the information down. Understand what it is that you're looking for. Now, with that said, did anyone have any issues with Big Future, college results, niche, or that amazing, brilliant website in Genius Learning? Any questions on that? Okay. How many people, when they did the initial search, this is the Big Future search, like you got it down to 75 or fewer? How many people have 75 or fewer colleges? Okay, which makes me realize that some of you didn't even think about doing this. How many people have more than 75 colleges? So this is kind of I'm not a computer guy binary, right? It's either this or this. And so when you don't raise your hand, I know that means you didn't do it. So the initial search on Big Future, right? There's like 990. And then we do that first tab, whatever that is, and you get down to like 300. And then you go searching for some more tabs and you get about 100. And then you do some more and you can get down to like 25 and you go, uh-oh, okay, I was too aggressive with the filtering. So the goal is to have about 75 schools to then really go and search out. Now, some of you might be thinking, no, Mike, I have 8. Those are the 8 Ivy League colleges. That's my only goal. Okay, good for you. My suggestion would be to broaden your search. And the reason why I think you should broaden your search is that just because they say Ivy League doesn't mean that they're going to be a good fit for you. Remember, the issue with college search, the issue with college websites, the issue with, or best websites, the issue with best lists, these are all colleges someone else has picked, and they are persuading you, manipulating you, tricking you to think that that's the school that you need to pick. Now, it might be that you go to one of those, and that would be fantastic. But I don't want you to go to one of those because someone else said so. Right? The thing that I always say, I wanted to pick my own wife. I didn't want my mom or my dad or my cousins or my friends to pick my wife. I wanted to pick her. But when you're going to college websites and you're going, well, everyone says that Ivy's are the best, I have to go there, you're letting someone else pick your future. This is a chance for you to be a designer. You get to design your future. Take that seriously. Don't let someone else design your future. You go design your future. If you're not a designer, you're a follower. Now, you're going to have to follow someone. I get that. That's called getting influenced. There's nothing wrong with being influenced. I have people that I follow on Twitter or, well, not TikTok, but I mean, someplace, even Instagram, because there's someone that I follow that designs websites. And I go, ooh, I like that. But it doesn't mean that I just take their stuff and just move it over. I go, ooh, I like that piece and I like that piece. And then I combine them and I create my own thing. So the real trick to all of this is that you're looking for a framework. And this framework can be like that. The framework can be like that. The framework can be like that. You know, it could be like that. I don't care. Look at what other people have done and then create your own. That's the concept. That's the beauty of being a designer. You get to design your own future. To follow blindly, just to say, well, I'm only going here, I think you're missing out on having some awesome control of your future. They say that one of the rules to happiness is not how hard you work or not how successful you are, but how much control you have in your decision making. So if you have this ability to have a say, then it's your responsibility, it's your work, and that's incredibly satisfying. If you just go, oh, whatever, that's what leads to regret. It's not the regret that the experience you went through, it was the regret that you didn't do enough to then say, I wonder what if. And I don't want you to ever have that regret. There are plenty of regrets that you're going to have in life. That's just the way life is. And some people, there's a weird thing about regret. Some people say, I don't regret anything because I learned and it got me to here. And other people, oh my gosh, of course I regret things because that was just something weird and it would have made for a different road. I don't really know. That's one of these philosophical things that I try not to think about because it gives me a headache. But I don't want you to go through this process and say, yeah, I kind of T-Rexed it, right? T-Rex has got short arms. I didn't really reach and try and push and do all the things I could. Don't do that. Fight for all of this. This is your chance. Okay, with that uplifting little message, I could see I've motivated you all. Any questions now? Anything on like, hey, I'm totally lost. I did do it. I didn't do it. There's got to be a better way. No, Mike, this is genius. Tell me, have at it. I don't care.
I have a question. It's kind of simple though. Are we supposed to share like our copy of the spreadsheet with you or no?
Yes, please. I think I'm a little more handsome than Yoda, but I am Yoda here, right? I am your person that's going to help you see things and make you question and go, oh yeah, I can do that. So yeah, I definitely, please share your spreadsheets with me and with your parents. I don't think your parents are going to look that much. And you really want to discourage your parents from doing tons of the data searching. You know, I've had some parents that say, oh, you just find the colleges and I'll go fill them all out. And you're like, awesome, mom's going to do all my work. But there's something to be said about you going through and entering in some of these data points and you go, wow, I had no idea the graduation rate was so low. That really sucks. Or, oh my God, I can't believe this. So I think it's a real key thing for you to go through and do that work. So discourage parents from doing the work, but encourage parents to take a look. Because when you get to the end of this process, you don't want them sitting there judging you. You have spent weeks and months going through and like, we've crafted great essays and we've done all these things. And all of a sudden you present this to your parents and they go, this is not what I ordered. This is not what I'm going to support. And now all of a sudden you're going to feel cornered, caged, to push back in a corner like a cornered animal, right? You're going to fight back, and that's where fights happen. So keep them involved in the process. Hey, I put in another 10 colleges in the spreadsheet, and there's only like one or two that I like, but you guys can check it out. Then it's on them. So in 12 weeks from now, you go, hey, here are the 15 colleges I'm applying to. We've already discussed why. They can't say, well, I had no idea. They go, no, I was sharing with that regularly. I gave you updates. It's a little bit of communication, just quiets them down so much. It's a teenager's gift to have quiet parents. Right, Devin? The greater gift is to have a quiet mic. Yes, I know, Devin. Okay, so did that answer your question, Olivia? Okay, any other questions? Good, very great question, though. Thank you. See, this is why she's teacher's pet. She asks questions. Come on, that's a love right there for you, Olivia. Okay, anything else on college search? No? Is there, let's ask about this. We'll spend 2 or 3 more minutes and we're going to jump into essays because we could spend, literally, we will spend 10 weeks on essays. Any college that was jumped out like, oh, I found this cool little one that I never considered. Come on, Olivia. I know you got your hand on that button ready to talk. Go for it. Come on. You're my favorite regardless, right? They all know it.
So do you actually want me to say
Yes, I
something?
want you to say something. Yes.
Oh, okay. Reed's pretty cool.
Reed?
Yeah, except for the fact that they like don't really have like grades or something, which like is something that I read about them, which was like kind of off-putting. So like I wouldn't say it was a positive. It was more like
Interesting.
oh, this sparked my interest.
Perfect.
And then I into it. Yeah.
No, that's all we're looking for right now. Just something. The whole purpose of a cohort is to look and go, oh, I never thought about that. Where is Reed located?
It's in Oregon.
Okay, so let's talk about a school that offers no grades. UC Santa Cruz, University of California, Santa Cruz campus used to not offer grades. They used to give recommendations, and they did that for years. And there were either people who loved it because every professor, instead of giving an A, B, C, or D, or an F, they had to write a lengthy description of the student and what the student learned and how they interacted. So some employers thought that was the absolute greatest thing in the world because it was kind of like getting, maybe you're going to have 50 classes. No, you're going to have 35 classes through college, maybe 30 to 50 classes, and you got 30 to 50 recommendations from professors. So some employers thought that was awesome. Bigger employers, Intel, Cisco, Apple, what was your GPA? I'm not going to sit and read. No pun intended. I'm not going to sit and go through all of those. So interesting. I did not know that about Reed. Okay. Anyone else find a college that was interesting or something that just sparked? Or even, oh my God, I can't believe I could not close that college campus fast enough. Don't make me call on you. Do not make me call on you. Ben?
I didn't really find any colleges that were like that.
You didn't find anything of interest?
I guess.
Okay, what was interesting to you? This is a sharing time, right? You literally are trying to help other people here.
I have one.
Yes.
For me, University of Virginia stood out to me.
Okay, why so?
I was just like reading about it. I want to go into engineering, so it's like good school for engineering, and I just hadn't really looked at it at all before.
Okay. I have had students apply there before. I don't think I've had any student go there, but from what I remember, it was a fairly high-level school. They required a lot, but I do think that there's some interesting programs there from what I remember. Okay, that's cool. If you're interested in engineering, everyone should take a look at UVA. Anyone else got an interesting school that they found or a hateful school? Okay, so here's going to be the deal. Come prepared next class, right? Okay, come prepared next class. It's end of story. You can't come prepared. You can't really be part of the cohort because the cohort's concept is to learn from other people and be part of that. This is not school. This is your life. If you're not willing to put up any attention for your life, you're not worthy of my attention. Just plain and simple. It's not a personal statement. I will wish you good luck as I see you through to the outside of the Google door. Okay? All right, here we go. We're going on to common essays. First thing to recognize is that you could spend years studying essays. You could spend years studying storytelling. You could spend years studying copywriting. So the very best people that make the most money in the world write. And they don't always write with words. They sometimes write with images, but they paint this picture in your mind. A book author tells a story. That story often gets turned into a film. The films generate a whole lot more money than books, right? So screenwriters then take and adapt a book into a film. And the most powerful stories are the ones that weave you through and get to the end. The most powerful stories rarely are a straight line. Now, there is a thread that when I break it down, I can look and I can see all the points where that thread intersects with the story. But for the most part, it's really not that way, that there's this kind of meandering. So what happens is we, as amateur writers, we think that our story should meander as well. Our problem is that our thread doesn't always connect. And our story will sometimes go like that. Sorry, this goes way out here. That's a weird story. This is much more interesting. And the reason this is much more interesting is because this has what's called a loop. And a loop can be closed. So, believe it or not, I'm an ordained minister. I wanted to be a priest when I was a kid growing up to about the age of 13. I didn't really understand what all things meant being a priest were. Prepubescent concept. But we, what are you laughing at, Olivia? But the issue with the ordained minister concept, right, is that I've done several weddings, a lot of family members and friends, and they're fun. So I'm going about and I'm learning about people, the people that I'm gonna, perform the marriage for, and I'm tasked to kind of tell a story to the crowd. And one of the things that I always come back to is that these people started someplace, and they both kind of took off in different directions, but they ended up together, and then they still ended up kind of just going. There's a beginning and a middle, and maybe there's no end. Maybe the end is that the story just keeps progressing, right? And we're waiting for that ending. That's a life story. That's really cool when we're talking about, oh, your unwritten future is exciting and blah, 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 and marriage and all of that. It's really, really hard to write a Common App essay where there's a beginning, a middle, and no end. You have to have an ending. And the reason why is because that's called fulfillment. So we pique interest, right? So the beginning is something that's interesting. Like, ooh, I want to read some more. Then I go through and I tell my story. And the ending has to have this fulfillment, like I go, ah, I get it. Oh, great story. And we all have friends, or maybe it's a drunk uncle or aunt at a holiday party or a birthday who starts telling a story, and it never stops. And it just goes on and on. And then all of a sudden, she forgets where she was. And you're like, no, you need to tell me the end of the story. And she never gets there. It's because she didn't close the story loop. So you must, when you're telling your story, you must finish it. How many times have we seen a movie that had this awesome beginning? Like the first 5 minutes were like, oh my God, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And then you walk out and go, oh, that sucked. And the reason why is because the middle sucked or the end sucked. How many people watch Lost? Right? The TV show Lost. What? You guys never watched Lost? Okay, you didn't waste a whole lot of time because had an awesome beginning, one of the very best pilots ever. And then the ending was so stupid. They're like, oh my God, how this is just ridiculous. So an ending is perhaps the absolute hardest thing in Hollywood to get right. It's the hardest thing for book authors to get right. It's because it's this sense of fulfillment. So the people that write books, and they sometimes make millions. J.K. Rowling made millions writing books, but not that many people make a lot of money writing books. You really hope that your book gets turned into a film, and then someone takes your book and breaks it all up and makes this interesting thing that has a beginning, middle, and end. So that's one way to tell a story, but a movie's 2 hours, 90 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours. You don't have that long for your essay. So now I want you to think about, what's a copywriter? A copywriter is someone who takes and is able to tell a story in a handful of words. That's what a copywriter does. Nike copywriters are awesome. In fact, hold on one second. Hold on. Pay a lot of money for fast internet, not so fast. Okay, so this is maybe one of the kind of like the perfect Nike ad, right? We're looking at this right here. The shoe works if you do. All right, so Nike jumps you right into the story. There's no like, hey, I want to work out, I'm feeling fat or lethargic, or, I'm skinny and I got to get buffed. There's no backstory. Nike jumps you right into the story. And it says, the shoe works. What happened there? Come on. The shoe works if you do. Okay? Now, you could make a whole movie about this, and they have, but this is just a copywriting. The copywriters are just stealing elements. So the shoe works if you do. And then we have this part right in the middle. Whoa. The Nike Sweet Classic High is comfortable while still remaining in style. All right, so now all of a sudden I've given you a middle. Hey, you got to work hard, but the shoe's not going to let me down. The shoe works if you do. So if you're willing to put in the work, I got the right thing for you. The Nike Sweet Classic High is comfortable while still remaining in style. With great quality and a wide variety of color options, these sneakers are perfect for casual use. Hey, you get a double of everything. This is awesome. Stay fly, stay fresh, and get yourself a pair. Okay, so now all of a sudden they're telling you, listen, not only are you going to be able to awesomely work out, but you're going to look sweet doing it. And then, of course, the great conclusion, the great ending, just do it. So book authors and screenwriters write long, beautiful stories. Copywriters take and write really short ones. And your job is to find a blend between the two, because the Common App essay is 650 words. So this ad is one of the ads that I point to all the time as like the greatest classic Nike ad that we can make our Common App essay just like. And honestly, you can. If you can write your Common App essay following this format, you're going to have an awesome essay. I need to jump the reader right into my story. Don't give them a backstory. No one cares. Give me something to read, and then give me a conclusion. I got my beginning, I got my middle, and I got my end. All right, so that ad is one of the all-time classic best Nike ads you could ever come up with. And our job is to now try and figure out how we can emulate the difference between script writers, book writers, storytellers, and copywriters. So remember, I need a story, but then I need to be able to condense it into something that's readable, that someone will stay interested in. So the secret to doing this is to keep your focus very narrow and personal. These are personal essays. Personal essays. I'm interested in you. I'm not interested in anyone else. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have another character or two. We'll talk about character loops in a moment. But I have to be able to read about you, because it is a personal essay. I can't say that enough times. However, all the times I read essay drafts, there's nothing personal about it. Right? There's someone on this call that I gave feedback on their essay, and there was not anything personal about that. It was a list of accomplishments, which are awesome. But that's not what someone cares about. You have 650 words. The UC essays, right, for when we go to do those, that's a different story. But you have 650 words essays. You have a lot of space. 650 is either going to feel like way too much right now, but once you start writing, you're going to go, oh my God, it's not enough. It's better to have too much, and we can always shrink it down. So there's a do and a don't. Do's and don'ts, pardon me. I need to use very vivid, specific facts that add spice. I'm not real interested in, it was a blue sky and the weather had been perfect, and it's why I live in this area I do, because it's always 70 degrees and the humidity is low, and the sky is, the roses are red, and no one cares. Now, if you were to say the sea was angry and we weren't certain we were going to make it out alive. Ooh, okay, that's kind of interesting. That's a vivid, specific fact. Tell me more. I'm addicted. I'm addicted to dopamine. I'm constantly chasing that next dopamine high until I found a way not to. Oh. Okay, tell me more. Right? That the buzz of the phone, the squirt of dopamine that goes into my body that makes me feel as if I've got something to live for. That's, again, somewhat interesting, and something that there's a slight amount of spice. What does that dopamine hit feel like? When you're scared, or were scared, what was it? When you doubted yourself, give me something specific. Now, you don't have to elaborate too much. When I said the C was angry, we all know what that means. In fact, it's tough to say the sea was as calm as a sleeping child. That doesn't sound as good as the sea was angry, right? So when you use your spice, use it carefully. Think about spice when you're having soup, for example. We've all had soup that was too bland because it was lacking something. We've all had soup that was like, oh, I need something to drink. There's so much salt, or there's just too much. It's too whatever, right? Sometimes chili or hot sauce. You know, there's the perfect hot sauce that makes your mouth water. And then there's the hot sauce that burns it, that like, okay, this is just stupid. That's the difference between too much spice, too little spice, or just the right amount. And I call that the Goldilocks approach. Right? This one is too hard, this one is too soft, this one was just right, just like Goldilocks. So that's that. There's an actual term in life called the Goldilocks Effect. And it's when you have got three things and you're trying to find that perfect middle. So your job is to write where you add just enough spice to make it interesting, but not so much that it becomes annoying. It is often easier to take and add the occasional word to spice things up than to say to pull it out. So as you're writing your draft, I would encourage you to have it more spice free. And then we can sprinkle in what we need. When you write something that has got so heavy, so heavy-handed, with words and all of that, often you've changed your whole sentence structure just for that. And then I go in with the red pen and I start hacking stuff up, and you're like, "Oh, what are we doing here?" Right? You're killing your babies. That's not what we want. So as you're writing drafts, think about having it more simplistic, and then we can add things in as we need to. The other thing that we want to do is that we want to take the reader on this journey of discovery. I don't know you. I am the admissions officer. So we have what some people will call it an avatar. Some call it a persona. I don't care which one you want to use. It doesn't make any difference. They're both the same thing. This is this fictional person that you're writing the essay for. Now, this could be me. This could be a parent. Probably best to make it a teacher or a mentor that you know. And that mentor is someone that knows you, that you can talk to in a very candid, comfortable way. So candid just means that you're going to be very honest. And comfortable means that you're not afraid you're not trying to impress them. So I'm going to tell you all of my fears. That's the candid part. And I'm going to not try and impress you with big fancy words or whatever. I'm just going to say, you know what? Yeah, I had this severe dopamine addiction, and it was starting to affect my life. It was affecting my sleep. It was affecting my grades. It was affecting everything. Here are the steps that I took to overcome that. You have to be both candid and comfortable to share that with someone. If that's me, if that's a parent, if that's a teacher, I don't care. You need to create either this persona or this avatar in your head as to who you're writing to. And I want you to write to that person. Because when you're writing to the admissions office, who am I writing to? So the very best screenwriters, the very best copywriters have a persona or an avatar that they are writing to. And they're trying to please that one person. Now, the pushback I get when I say that is, hey, wait a second, Mike, I'm applying to different schools. I'm applying to this. I know. We can adjust that. But it's so much easier when you are imagining you're having a conversation with just one person. And in fact, one of the things to do is to record yourself talking as if you were talking to this one person. Yeah, you're going to sound nuts. But, if you have a friend that you can be totally open and honest with, just ask them to record a conversation. You want to tell them about this part of your life. Maybe you haven't shared it. Maybe they know about it, but you just say, hey, I want to just talk about this. And you just record it. That way that manner in which you talk to them is the way that you want to write. This is not an AP English, AP History essay. This is a personal insight essay, and you have to treat it differently. And so I have to take this persona on this journey of my life as I go through things. And if I don't do that, then the story sits flat and you've written for no one. So your job is to write for someone or write for no one. It's the copywriter, the screenwriter's mantra. I write for someone or I write for no one. If I write for no one buys. No one buys my product, no one buys my screenplay, no one buys my book. If I write for someone, I have a chance that someone is going to like this. And the myth that you need to get out of your head is that everyone that reads my essay is going to love it. It's just not the way it is. You can't please everyone. And when you try to please everyone, you please no one. I'm certain you guys have all heard something similar to that. So take your avatar, your persona, on a journey of discovery and really let them know who this is. This might be the absolute hardest part. And I'm looking at the faces of several of you who I know this is going to be a huge challenge for. Because you're not going to want to open up. But the thing that you want to do you want to force a difference. You want someone to look at your essay and say, oh, I see the difference in this kid. If you don't, you just get lumped over into this other giant pile. Do I want to be like everyone else? Acceptance rates are pretty low at some colleges. So if I don't force a difference, I'm not doing much and I'm just existing. Now, when I say force a difference, I'm not saying be odd, be weird. Be yourself. It's called being the category of one. You go ahead and you look on Twitter or YouTube or on the web and you search for someone named a future planner. Okay? Future planner for college, because I'm certain that there's other future planners. I should be the only person that shows up. Now you might go, no, I didn't find you, Mike. Okay, that's possible. But I am the category of one because every other college planner is trying to get you to college. I'm not trying to get you to college. I'm trying to get you through college. I'm concerned with your future. The whole ROI thing. No college planner has that. I created that. That 5, 10, 20, that was my algorithm. No one else has that. So you either believe in that and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Or you go, no, that's just stupid. Well, if it's just stupid, you don't buy my stuff. But if you go, no, okay, I think there's there. Okay, you buy my stuff. So become that category of one. And the only way to do that is to create this journey of discovery. Now, I'm not expecting you to have created an algorithm or to have researched 30,000 colleges and found the ROIs on all of them. That's my gig. But you can tell me something about you and your personal struggle that no one else knows because it's you. But if you just tell me, I did this, then I did that, then I did this, everyone does that. But what did it mean to you? How did it affect you? How will it influence your future outcomes? That's unique just to you. And that is going to make you different. And that is what's going to get you that's going to make you memorable to the reader of your essay. That reader is the gatekeeper to your future, right? That person controls. If you write an essay that's trash, you get tossed. If you write an essay that stands out, they're like, okay, I want this kid. Now, you may not get in based on GPA or test scores or something else, but at least the essay got you to that point. And that's the only way you make that is by forcing a difference. And the way to force a difference is to take them on this journey. All right. What often happens is you write just because you think that's what they want to hear. I did this, then I did that, and I am Bob Bitchin, and I am awesome, and I'm going to be the best ever. Yay! Most likely you're just another dumb, snot-nosed 17 or 18-year-old punk kid. Love you all, like the kids I didn't want. My 18-year-old, almost 19-year-old is just about to go to college. I'm going to be all done in the whole parenting bed home business. I'm all done. I don't want any more. No more of you coming my way. I'll help you out. Don't want you at home with me. Not ready for grandkids yet. Give me 15, 20 years of just being alone in that house. That's what I'm looking for. So don't just give me what they want, right? Because most people would say, oh, I'm going to love it when my kid's gone and I'm going to miss them so much. Everyone says that. What did I just say? Dude, that kid doesn't love his kids. No, that's not what I said at all. I love my children so much. I need them to go out and explore the world because I'm not going to be here forever. So don't say what they think that you just want to hear. Be open, be honest. The words authentic and oh gosh, I've got it out of my vocabulary so much I can't even remember. What's another word that's just like authentic? Genuine, yes, thank you. Oh, horrible. The two worst words of the English language. When you look up in the dictionary what authentic means, it says to be genuine. When you look up genuine in the dictionary, it says to be authentic. They're words that define themselves with the other word and they don't tell you anything. Don't ever use these words. I want to be authentic. What the hell does that mean? Be much better to say, I want to be clear. Because authentic doesn't say much, genuine doesn't say much, but yeah, I'm going to be clear with my feelings. I'm going to be clear with what I want to do. I'm going to be clear with my intentions. That's so much better. And so people that say, oh, I want to write in an authentic manner, that's because they're trying to appease what they think people want to hear. That's not what people want to hear. Be clear. And in fact, it really doesn't matter so much what it is that you say. It's more on what you say it, believe it or not. Okay. The other aspect that people often forget is this concept of rhythm. And hold on, I gotta find a graphic here. Okay. So let's just read the top here. If you can't read it, I'll read it for you. This sentence has 5 words. Here are 5 more words. 5 sentences are fine, but several together become monotonous. Listen to what's happening. The writing is getting boring. The sound of it drones. It's like a stuck record. The ear demands some variety. Every single one of those sentences has 5 words. They're all grammatically correct. The use of language was perfect. If I had 2 or 3 of those 5-word sentences, I would say that's awesome. But 10 of them, or however many there were, sucked. Because there was no rhythm. Now all of a sudden I change the length, and the different colors show you the difference between long and short. Now listen, I vary the sentence length and I create music. Music. The writing sings. It has a pleasant rhythm, a lilt, a harmony. I use short sentences and use sentences of medium length. And we're not going to read the yellow because that just goes on and on and on. Let's shift down to the 3rd paragraph. So I write with a combination of short, medium, and long sentences. Create a sound that pleases the reader's ear. Don't just write words, write music. Anyone know what that sounds like? Anyone? The shoe works if you do. Bunch of stuff in the middle, and then all of a sudden just do it. I start off with something short, I go into something longer, and then I finish off with something short. Few are ever going to challenge me that Nike is not one of the best marketing companies in business. And that guy, Gary Provost, who wrote that 5-word thing, is someone who noticed the way writing has a rhythm. I mean, I've been taught writing has a rhythm since I was in college, right? So for at least almost 40 years, I've been learning about rhythm. The difference is that's a great example that just shows me how perfectly it works. So I need to vary the sentence length. Do not add big words just because you think big words belong. Neither the Nike ad or that thing that I just showed you had any big words in it. It made it interesting because it varied the pace. Baroque music is really boring. 3 beats up, 3 beats down, 3 beats up, 3 beats down. Mozart came along and threw a little spice into it. That's what became the classical era. Then Beethoven came and threw and made the 4th movement totally different. And now it was like people couldn't wait to get to the 4th movement because they wanted to see how crazy. It was called a musical scherzo, a joke, because it was so anti-Baroque. But Beethoven is one of the very best ever because he just changed the format. Had all the same notes that Beethoven had all the same notes that Vivaldi had, but because he was willing to change the format, his stuff is great and memorable. Mozart, Beethoven, they're both fantastic, but I mean, they have a different style, and it was because they changed the format. So you don't need to create anything magical. You don't need to use the biggest and best words. You just have to vary your sentence pacing. And I recommend jumping into the story, then having some stuff in the middle, and then hitting them hard at the end. Okay, don't use 50 words if 5 will do. Too often the sentences just go on and on and on, right? That was that story loop I was talking about. It just goes on forever. We don't need that. All right, another thing that you need to do. You need to show your emotional intelligence. So the term emotional intelligence, this is called EQ. I don't know where, emotional quotient, I think is what it stands for. But emotional intelligence is what EQ is. And there are 5 parts. Some people would say 6, some people would say 7, some people with 3. We're going to go with 5. The first aspect of the EQ that you need to be aware of is self-awareness. When are you being an ass? Right? Real critical. When are you being too shy? When are you talking out of turn? When are you railroading the conversation? When are you being too this? When are you being too that? We all have self-awareness issues. We've all struggled with it and we've all grown through it. Some of us, the ups and downs are much higher and some of us are lower. But self-awareness is a huge thing. So when you're looking for something to write about, include your struggle with your self-awareness. whether it was big or small, right? This is a great little thing to add about who you are. Self-regulation. Listen, so I have a problem. I told you I'm addicted to dopamine, right? I'm not an adrenaline junkie so much, although I used to race bikes and it was great to go 50, never went 60, but I've gone over 50 miles an hour, 54 going down the backside of a mountain, getting to Santa Cruz, right? I'm going around cars on terms, right? And it was fun. It was stupid. So I was addicted to that type of hit. I would go out and race and you know, you just whatever. I enjoyed the winning. I hated the losing. And then I would go out and train, and it was obsessed, and it was whatever. And I couldn't self-regulate. It was a huge, huge issue for me because it affected a lot of things in my life. It affected my work. I probably could have made a lot more money, but I was out riding my bike because I was chasing that dopamine hit. It probably affected some relationships that I had with my friends because, no, I got to go train, right? And I would train 20 hours a week instead of spending coffee with someone. Right? I didn't need to do a whole lot, but I just buried myself. So self-regulation is a huge struggle of mine. And it's something that I'm always trying to make better. And I sometimes win and I sometimes lose. But that's what self-regulation is. And so showing that side to someone, letting them know that it is a struggle. You need to reveal all of your strengths and weaknesses here. Don't just tell them how great you are, because it shows that you have no self-awareness and you might not have that self-regulation to be able to recognize, gosh, I need to do more or less of this. Motivation. Okay. I was exceptionally motivated to go work out and to go train and ride my bike and race and do all that because I didn't have the self-regulation and I didn't have the self-awareness that I was affecting all this other stuff. So my motivation had no issue. Then all of a sudden I got into a crash, really bad crash. And then I know a guy that became a quadriplegic in a bike race, and I lost my nerve. I no longer wanted to race anymore. And now, because I don't want to race, I don't want to train. And so I just gained 20 pounds over COVID and I'm miserable. So I have no motivation. And I'm struggling with my self-regulation. Right? So all of this stuff feeds. These are all things that you can write about in an essay that doesn't make you look weak. It makes you look strong because you understand what you have to do. Empathy, something I have almost none of. Right, Olivia? I really have very little empathy. Part of that was because my upbringing was a little bit challenged, and I had a mother that was addicted to a number of different substances, and she had no self-regulation and no self-awareness. And so I didn't know what I was going to get each day. So it was just easier for me to close off and have a black heart and never let it get hurt. Right? I had to wear a shield all the time, an emotional shield to protect myself. So now I'm adult. My mom's been dead for a long time. I can't break out of that shield. I have no empathy. This is the weakness. Starting to slowly have a little bit of a heart, maybe not. But it is something that you can write about. Hey, I struggle with empathy, or I have too much empathy, and it distracts me. It takes me away from things. Right? So either side of the coin, you can play this in an essay. Social skills. I'm worried about going to college. I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to make the friends. Friends always were just handy in high school, right? Because we were in a small school and was trapped. Now I'm possibly going to be in a school with tens of thousands of people, and they're all going and doing their things, and I worry that I'm going to have the social skills to survive. Or I have awesome social skills, maybe too good, and I worry that I'm not going to have the self-regulation to say no when my friends want to go out and I need to stay home and party, or stay home and study, excuse me. They want to go out and party and I need to stay home and study. This right here, you could write amazing essays by just taking little bits and pieces. So one of the things that I always suggest is taking and writing modular content about each one. Don't try and weave them all together. Give me a paragraph about self-awareness. Give me a paragraph about self-regulation. What's my motivation? What's my empathy? What are my social skills? Write some modular content. You may never use 4/5 of it. And then all of a sudden you're writing this essay, whether it be for the Common App or for the UC, and you realize, oh my gosh, this is going to be the perfect place to drag that Lego building block of one of these things and plug it in. Now all of a sudden it's like, boom. So you're repurposing your content, but the thing is, you got to start writing some content in order to repurpose it. Okay, let's take a break there for a second. Questions? Do anyone have any questions on what I've covered so far? And I apologize, I can't see the chat. It's too far away, so, yes, sir?
Question?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a website where you can go to like see what you need to write about college applications?
Yes, Bennett, and thank you. You know what, Bennett? Stay on the line because I need to send you the link to the Notion app. Did everyone have was there any difficulty downloading the Notion app or getting around in that? Everything was good with that? There's way too much information, I understand. It's all reference, right? So when you need something, go look that up. But yeah, we're going to get to the Common App in just a second, Bennett. Very excellent question. Any other questions about what we've talked about so far?
I know you said colleges don't really like when you just praise yourself and say you're good at everything. Is it the same when you say, like, you're really
You suck?
not good? Yeah.
Yes, you don't want to say okay, excellent question, and let me explain to you. Beginning, middle, and end. I suck. I still suck. I suck forever. There's no beginning, middle, and end there, right, Will?
Yeah.
So how about I suck? All right, we're really making this simple here, don't worry. I still suck, but is a huge word. You must learn how to use the word but. All right? And there's a concept called the ABS. And, but, and so. We'll talk about that in just a second. So, I suck. I still suck, but I came in contact with something or someone, and I'm realizing I'm sucking a little less. After working on myself, I suck half as much as I did, and this good thing happened to me. Oh, okay. That's a better story than I suck, I still suck, I suck forever. Make sense, Will?
Yeah.
I know. You would never write that simplistic of a story, but in reality, that's what a beginning, middle, and end are. It is just a three things. So the ABS, and, but, so. I write something. So I write point number 1, and I then write point number 2. So this is good in my life, and I really like this, but this bad thing happened. So I took these steps in order to make that better. This is a storyteller's framework. It's called the ABS. It's also called the ABT, and, but, therefore, but we don't use therefore. Therefore is more of a mature, logical, problem-solving basis. So we use the ABS, ABC, and, but, so. Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet and eating her curds and whey. But along came a spider who sat down beside her, so Little Miss Muffet ran away. Children's nursery rhymes are in the ABS. The Gettysburg Address is in the ABS. 7 years ago, and we hallowed this ground, but we came and can't do this, so we have to therefore fight for our nation. Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech is ABS. Have something, raise the stakes, find me the problem, and then tell me the conclusion. Beginning, middle, end. Right? It's child's play. Essays are totally simple once you understand what they are supposed to be. ABS, and, but, so.
Wait, Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question before
Sure.
we move on.
No, go ahead. Thank
Are
you.
you gonna go over like topics that we shouldn't do? Because like I hear a lot of things like don't do sports topics, don't talk about illnesses, like stuff like that. Are you gonna go over topics that we shouldn't write about?
So the short answer is yes. The long answer is I won't tell you a topic is bad until after you've written it, or at least mapped it out. I've read it, we've workshopped it, and we can't make it better. Then I would say, okay, this was bad. But the topic, there's almost no such thing as a bad topic. It's only the bad application of writing skills. So, okay, COVID, right? This is one that I'm going to say, yeah, you got to have a really compelling story to write about COVID. But you could, and it was nothing about COVID. COVID jumps you into the story. We're 4 months into the lockdown. I've lost both grandparents. My father has irreversible lung damage, and we've lost our business, and we're afraid we're going to lose our house. But somehow, some way, I think we can get out of this. Oh, okay. I'd be interested to read more. But they say, don't write about COVID. Well, I'm not writing about COVID. I'm writing about my reaction to a bad situation. It just so happened to be about COVID. So a kid last year said, listen, I didn't make captain of my soccer team and it was the end of the world. Oh, boo-hoo. Well, yeah, that sounds pretty privileged. But in reality, what happened was that he went through and recognized that he was expecting and demanding that he was going to have all these things. So he had no self-awareness. And his social skills were always built around, oh, I'm the best soccer player. And he didn't have empathy for the other kids, and his motivation got crushed when he didn't get to be captain. And his self-regulation, he went off the deep end, and he was losing friends, and he was doing this, and he started experimenting with alcohol, maybe touched a drug or two, and really just crashed and burned. But he learned something about himself, so he realized that there was a change that had to be made, so he got better. All because he didn't get his captaincy. I don't know what the right term is. Right? So there could be so you could say, oh, don't write about that. No. If we have all the right components, it could be an awesome essay. Okay? Make sense? Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So you said it's not very wise to try to intertwine all 5 of the emotional intelligence. But could I say my motivation it was high, so it killed my self-regulation. Can I intertwine that together, but not try to put all of them together?
Yeah, you just can't spend, right? You only have 650 words to spend. Right? So if I want to spend 50 words per, I've already eaten up 250 words out of my 650. Now I only got 400 words to tell a story. So this is expensive. right? Because you got to spend a lot of time and words on something. But maybe I can take 2. Or maybe there could be a cascading effect where it kind of affected everything. But I don't need to say, I don't need to give a full explanation why my social skills got or how my social skills got ruined. I just need to allude to the fact that I crashed and burned, and social skills that was the final straw. Right. I mean, say it's something like that. Now all of a sudden you've hit them all, but you don't necessarily need to like explain each one. Make sense? You also have to come off as that you're not too damaged, Sammy. Right? We want someone that's got a bright future. We recognize that, people recognize that you're not perfect. But damn, if you go ahead and just sink yourself, like this is the Will Butso approach. Like, no, I suck. I still suck. I'm going to suck forever. We don't want that. We want some sort of bright future. Okay?
Okay.
And you can read it. When you read it aloud to someone, this is the other thing that's really, really hard. Don't just hand someone your essay to read. Read it aloud to them. That's going to kill you. Because it's embarrassing. You're telling people, you're revealing your soul, and now you've got to tell them. If you can't read it aloud to them, then you can't sell it, then you can't write it. Or it's not written in a way that's believable. All right? Any other questions? Okay. So, last thing we're going to talk about today, and then I'm going to send you on your way to start mapping out some Common App essays. My degree is in classical rhetoric. We talked about last week at what a negative dollar earning that is. However, every chance I get to mention Aristotle, Socrates, and Plato, I always do. So I wrote an essay. It was kind of popular online, something to the effect of what would our Aristotle, it wasn't this, but it was kind of close. What would Aristotle teach you if he was writing about a college app essay? So Aristotle, right, the great Greek orator, was a real thinker, a philosopher, and he more or less just said that everyone's life is a drama. And he created something known as the Aristotelian unities. There's only 3, so you don't have to worry too much. It's not going to be too hard. But the Aristotelian unities have 3 rules. 1, when you write a story, limit the action to 1 subplot. Your reader is not smart enough to be able to read and take in multiple streams of information regarding subplots. So focus on 1 subplot. You go, oh, wait a second, Mike. I'm going to go from 1 subplot to the next. Okay. It better be clear, and it better be limited to 2 subplots, but they better really be connected. You only have 650 words, and so if you try and tell this 10-year story over 650 words, your story sucks. Now, when you write a play, there are acts. Right? If you ever read a play, there was an Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Scene 1, 2, 3. You're taking the reader or the viewer through specific things, and people know that one's done. For your story, limit it to 1 subplot. Limit it to 1 location. Third, limit it to 1 time window. So limit it to 1 subplot. That's going to be a reduction in characters. No more than really 2 characters. It's me, my 5 friends, and this and that. Okay, we can mention my 5 friends, but then I'd better only probably talk about 1 person, or I talk about the group think, how the group affected me. But I don't need to talk about Jimmy, Tommy, Danny, Cindy, Sally. Right? I don't need to talk about that. I need to talk about the group or 1 person. Location may not be critical for you, or it might be very critical, but don't have too much and limit the time window. So this takes us to this concept of known as a story loop. And we talked about every beginning must have an end. So limit the number of story loops, right? This is limit 1 loop to one subplot. Limit the number of adventure loops. You have 650 words. Don't try and take me on 2 mountaintop passes. You're going to take me from your start. You're going to take me up here. There's going to be something bad. And then all of a sudden I'm going to finish. Don't make me do this. You don't have the ability and you don't have the space to write an ebbing and flowing essay. It is totally okay to say, I was here, I got here, I crashed, but I ended up better. Now, what does that seem like? What does that arc seem like? Anyone have any idea what that? I'm here, I improved, I crashed, I got better. What story arc is that? What is that?
Hero's Journey.
Perfect. Hero's Journey. So let's go find my Hero's Journey one real quick, and then that will really be the thing we'll stop with. Okay. We're going to spend a lot more time on Hero's Journey, but I just got to describe this a little bit. So you can consider your journey the hero's journey. What's your path? So I live in an ordinary world. Something happens and I have this call to action. I wanted to back down from the call to action, but ultimately I took it. That's my conflict. There can be another hero in this story, but ultimately this is a story about me. So the other hero has to be my guide. Every hero's journey has a hero. Luke Skywalker is the hero of Star Wars, but Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi are his hero's hero. Even Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's hero's hero, right? I don't know Harry Potter that very well. Who's the guide or the mentor for Harry Potter?
Albus Dumbledore.
Dumbledore? Okay, so that would be who that person's hero would be. I just was watching the movie yesterday. It's about where this something weird happens and the Beatles never existed, but this guy still remembers all the Beatles songs. So really, it's a cute movie if you like Beatles music. Anyway, it's a perfect hero's journey. Normal guy, call to action. He's now playing great Beatles songs, but he feels like a fraud. Then all of a sudden he meets John Lennon, who isn't a Beatle. He's just John Lennon, and he guides him. And then all of a sudden he does the right thing at the very end. So it's the perfect hero's journey. We all have a hero. And then we need to have an ally. This is going to be your friend, your other character, or your enemy. And then what's the concept that you're trying to go against? And the thing to realize, we'll come back and do more of this later. The thing to realize is that there's only 3 types of subplots that you can have. You against nature, you against another person, or you against yourself. They all fit into those 3 things. And that guy that I was telling you was taking the Beatles music, the entire time he felt like a fraud. And so it was really, no one was going to turn him in. There was no Beatles police. So it was just him against himself. And that's what made the story so compelling. Okay, I just put into the chat the Common App essay prompts for this year. It's easy just to Google. You may or may not be ready to even think about some of these. You go through that Notion doc, Bennett, I got to get you that still. Remember, don't let me forget. Go through, do that modular content. Go through, take a look at the EQ. Today or actually it'll be tomorrow. I have a recording from last week. I'll have the recording from tonight. And so I'm going to put up another Notion page that will have the updates each week. So it'll have my Google Slides, and it'll also have the recording, right? So if you need to go back and you need to see something. But you only have to write on one of these essays, and I would not suggest that you just take off and just start writing on the one that you like. I would go through and start looking at things that are elements of each one. And after you see elements of each one, you go, oh, I like that, or I don't like that, or there's no chance I'm going to write about that one. Some of you may say, Mike, I already got an essay. I wrote it last year in English class. I'm just going to use that. Even though the prompt changed, like number 7 says I can write an essay ever I want. Yeah, let's write a fresh essay. Your skills are better, and this is for one of the most important things in your life so far. If you already have an existing essay and you just want to modify it, that's fine too. But I really believe that if you take a look at the approach that I use between storytelling, copywriting, that ABS concept, that you're going to see, oh wow, I can write a kick-ass essay, and it's not going to be this I'm so wonderful. It's, you know what, I do a pretty good job, and I want to get better, but I have some faults, so therefore I'm going to work on these things, right? That's the ABS right there. And it's such a comfortable format that it's not something you're like, oh, that's so boring. No, it's the path that's already worn in the psyche. We all know it. We all know the hero's journey is Luke Skywalker or Harry Potter, but we still love it. So take that and run with that. It's not such a bad way to go. Okay, I've gone way over. Sorry. Questions? Anyone have questions? I thought I was going to go about 10 minutes over, but I was 20. My apologies.
If we want you to proofread our essays or like our ideas for the essays, should we just email it to you or share it to you through the Notion thing? Or?
No, definitely email it to me. And what I would suggest is that the Notion thing is a way just to kind of collect all your thoughts. And then I would put it into a Google Doc. And then I would share it with me. So I'm heading to West Lafayette, Indiana, home of the Purdue Boilermakers. That's where my son is going. And we leave on Saturday. It is a 12-hour door-to-door trip to get there, and it is 12 hours to get home. It's still in the United States, yes. It's easier to fly to London. I can get to London in 11 hours, and I can get to West Lafayette in 12. So I have a lot of time on my hands looking for something to do. So I am encouraging you to write down some ideas, give me kind of a framework for what you want to do so that I can read that on the plane ride next week and that you can actually have something to do in this break.